Hello, I'm Heide. Be sure to pause the next slide to refresh your memory on how to navigate this webinar. Remember, you can also go on the English Forward website and download the entire PowerPoint deck in case you want to see the slides in print. Here we are on our last module, Module 5 on assessment, knowing what students know. You'll remember that English Forward had lots of activities and alternative assessments, all of which can be adapted to one-to-one tutoring. Maybe you remember the goal-setting cards and interest inventories, or the many can-do lists. In this module, we'll present additional ideas for student placement and for capturing student progress. We'll start by reviewing some of the key testing concepts. Boy, that's not easy to say. And show you some tools for deciding on the right kind of assessment for the right kind of purpose. Later, we'll introduce you to Bisima, a wonderful woman from Bosnia, who sits down with me and shows me what she can and cannot do when it comes to reading English. And she reads Serbo-Croatian, her native language. You'll notice I was much younger then. We'll then show you a number of new assessment tools. We'll show you how to chart your students' progress and to celebrate success. And we'll offer tips on how to assess basic English literacy so you can decide on the right kind of starting point for your lessons. So let's get ready to assess. Here's a quick overview of the module. We'll start with a quick self-assessment on how confident you feel when it comes to assessing your students' proficiency and progress. You may want to pause the video here, or maybe print up these slides. Which of the following can you do with a high level of confidence? And where are you not so sure? We're certain you'll do much better at the end of the unit. Good assessments inform both teaching and learning. They can tell you and your funders how successful you are in increasing the language and literacy skills of your students. And they can tell the student that you tutor that he is indeed making progress, which works as a great motivator. We'll get started in this section on a quick review of the why, what, and how of standardized tests and alternative assessments. Here you see a rationale for standardized tests. But it's important to remember that standardized tests are meant to be used with large number of students, so funders and researchers can compare hundreds of programs using the same test or type of test. Standardized tests are not a good measure of individual progress. They are not good at all at capturing the progress that literacy students make, especially not in non-cognitive domains, such as self-efficacy and learning how to learn. If they're designed for native speakers of English, they're often inappropriate for English learners who may have trouble understanding the directions or may not know the basic vocabulary that everyone else seems to know. So as you tutor one-to-one, you really want to consider alternative assessments. We'll look at why and how next. So pause the video and familiarize yourself with some of the advantages of alternative assessments. You can see that while standardized tests require a hands-off approach, alternative assessments invite you and a student to be hands-on and work together to capture what the student knows and is learning. Just a quick word on performance-based testing. The English Forward system stresses task-based learning and seeks to measure what students can do with language and literacy, not just what they know about language. So if you can use a can-do list to listen to a student and rate a skill, such as the ability to explain a health issue, you're using a performance-based assessment. Here's a basic principle to keep in mind. Your purpose for assessing should determine the assessment you select. Makes sense, right? This sounds simple, but may require some thinking and planning on your part. To help you along, we've created a chart that shows you what type of assessment serves what kind of purpose and how you might use it. It's on the next slide, so go ahead and pause the slide. Are you ready? So go ahead and pause this slide or print it up. This is our big alternative assessment chart. On the left-hand column, you see the purposes for which you may want to use an assessment. The middle shows you the type of assessment that you might be using for that purpose. On the right-hand side, you see the questions you might ask or the prompts you might offer your students in order to find out what students know. When a student comes to you for tutoring, you want to have a good idea of the student's proficiency level. A rubric can help you do that. If you want to know how much English your student understands and how well she can express ideas, it makes sense to have a conversation when you first meet. You can use the rubric on the next page to pinpoint the level and to get a sense of where to start your lesson. As you know, students have different hopes, dreams, and goals for learning English. Find out what your student might need English for and what she likes to talk about. Use the goal-setting cards and items from your Realia toolkit. And be sure to check out the toolkit generator as part of that process. It's very cool. You may end up tutoring a student who has very low or no literacy skills. To know where to start and where to go next, you must first determine if the student cannot read and write at all in any language. And there's a discussion in Module 4, New to Literacy, to help you do that. If the student has some English, you may want to try the reading demonstration. We'll show you later how. But you can also use the can-do lists, and they will provide you with lots of insights on what students can do. Pause the slide and look it over. Here's how to make it work. First, hold a conversation with your student. If the student is very low, use pictures or draw stick figures. Listen to what your student says, how well she says it, and how much she says. Use the indicators in the middle of the chart to make a decision on the level of the student. You then can use the right-hand column to focus on the learning needs of a student and adapt your lesson accordingly. So what's been your experience in assessing students? Have you tried any of these strategies? How well did they work? Some years ago, a researcher called Susan Lytle developed a reading assessment that was based on giving students a chance to demonstrate what they could read, rather than taking a standardized test. She asked students to self-select a print item on her desk and read it with her. I've adapted this assessment so it works with ESL students. We videotaped the assessment with Basima, a student from Bosnia. I think you'll enjoy it. The first video will give you a sense of how the reading demonstration works. if you'd like to see what else Basima can do and how well she deals with connected text, both in English and in her language, watch the second video. Finally, on the third video, you will see me analyze Basima's skills. I think you'll be impressed with what Basima can do. Here are some reasons as to why you may want to consider a reading demonstration. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. You, how are you?
Okay. I'm fine too. Thanks. And I am Haida, and you are?
Basima.
Basima.
Yes.
Basima, you come from?
We're from Bosnia.
From Bosnia. Yeah. Big city, small city? Big town, small?
Bosnia.
Yeah.
Bosnia big.
Bosnia big, right. And your city is Zagreb or?
No, Prijedor.
Prijedor. Prijedor is big or not so big? That's okay. We want to see what you know in English,
Cool.
which things you know in English, and see if maybe you can read a little story with me. And so it's all very easy.
Ona danas hoće da vidi šta ti znaš na engleskom i znaš malo čitati, sve to tako jednostavno.
Good, so we'll see.
Bit će, we'll see.
So, what do you think? Which do you know?
Šta znaš? McDonald's?
McDonald's?
Yes.
Very
Probaj
good.
u nju glavu.
Okay. What goes inside?
Imamo kompir, kako se ono kaže, čekaj malo.
Apples?
No,
Bananas? Potatoes?
petite.
Yeah. And what is this? What is this?
M.
M. Perfect. And this here?
Yes.
Yeah, the letter U. S.
S-A.
Do you know USA?
I do.
USA?
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Tamo USA. US kažemo.
And USA is also United States of America. That's a word for America. How about those things? Do you remember? Did you ever see these? The rings?
Jesi li kad vidjela ti, znaš li odakle su ti prstenovi kao?
Sometimes on television.
Nekad na televiziji, šta predstavlja to? Ja zaboravim to, poreklamiše, mislim, ono, zašto? Pa to je prstenje. Ha?
See, that's okay. When they have the Olympics.
Olympic Games, kad bude olimpijada.
Yeah, those are the rings. See, and McDonald's and Olympics and America, it's all together. How about this one?
Coca-Cola.
Perfect. And which word, two words, Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Which one is cola and which one is coca?
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, show me. This is?
Coca-Cola.
Perfect. Right. Can you read this?
Yeah.
That's right. Enjoy. Yeah. And this here says, we love to see you smile.
Smile.
You know smile? See? Yes.
Yes.
You have a very nice smile.
Yes.
Right. How about this? What is this? Is it newspaper? Where does it come from?
Reklama.
Reclama, it's an advertisement, right? Isn't it? What kind of store?
Koja prodavnica?
Pharmacy.
Zašto? Čuo za moj mi pomaga dok mi ne nampane. Hrana, kako kaže. Food.
Food, perfect. And can you read what this says?
Drink.
Right, these are drinks. How about this up here?
Kako se zove prodavnica?
It's a Jewel.
Jewel.
Do you know Jewel store?
Jewel.
Or just Dominique?
Dominique's not Dominique.
Yeah.
Jewel.
Jewel, exactly. How about the meat?
Meat.
How much does it cost? How much is the meat?
$1 69 cents.
Right. For each steak? For one steak or for how much?
1 libre.
1 pound. Right.
Pound.
1
No,
pound.
pound. Libre.
Yes. Okay. How about bananas? Where are the bananas?
Banana. Fino to $2. Libre. Only. 5 pounds, $1.
Perfect. It's cheap. You think it's good?
Cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 pound? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, not bad.
Yes.
Can you show me the word banana? Where does it say
Piega over the
banana?
Det pisze banana.
Niente piece, banana. Ujo je marka.
It's, right, that's the brand.
Kako ne znam dođe piše bananas.
Bananas. Perfect. That's where it says bananas. How about cookie? Where does it say
Cookie.
cookie?
Det piše
Right.
cookie.
And how about the word
Cookie.
cookie? That's the word, right? And what does this say? This is a difficult word.
Ben.
Toshiba VCR. It's video player.
To je onaj, mi kažemo video.
Ja, vi
Yeah.
säger vidare. VCR.
Yeah.
Toshiba är marka.
How about, let's try reading something in Bosnian.
Da čitaš na bosanskim, sad piše.
What does this say?
Bosanski medicinski centar.
Perfect. And how about this here?
Kako se pojedinci
Right.
i njegovi familija njihova poslovnosti i kluba
Uh-huh.
originalnost odražava i prožima u kulturi Amerike.
Aha. Exactly.
Još istilite.
How about a map? Can you see what that
Da,
is?
mapa.
Mm-hmm.
I šta interesuje?
Do you know where America is?
Amerika.
Amerika. Moj sinko.
It's also small.
Ne.
Sorry.
Čekaj. Amerika.
Yes. And how about Europa? How about
Europa.
Europe?
Europa.
Tamo ideš preko puta, tamo.
Čekaj.
Tu da neko. Dobro.
Rusija.
Uh-huh. Yes, right.
Europa.
Okay. Perfect on the map. Very good. So Bosnia is somewhere in there.
Yes, ovdje dim je dobro. Sitna. Tu.
Tu smo.
And do you know what this is?
Loto. Je loto. Jel da?
Exactly. Do you play lotto?
No, my son.
Your son plays? Do you win?
Jel on
Win money?
šta ja?
Jel pobjedio i kad dobio pare?
Onako, sića. Pinč.
Change. Just change. A dollar here, $1, $2.
$5.
Who picks the numbers? Do you choose numbers or does your son?
Koje broje piše?
Ko bira brojeve, ti ili tvoj sin?
Ne, on biro, pa sad njegova sa njim bira mlada.
Pa ko reci moj sin?
My son,
Teodor je.
Teodor, low,
Yeah. They picked it up.
Zusammen.
Zusammen, together, yes. How about this one? Do you know what this is?
Oh, compagnie.
Koja.
Company.
From the company, right.
Yes.
What kind of company?
Company.
Is it water company, gas company, phone company?
Čekaj, sad ću vidjeti. Ne piše.
Da, to.
Ha? Jel, čekaj, ja treba ovdje vidiš da piše jel gos. Ha? Nije gos. Ne mogu naći baš kompaniji. A ovo je struja.
Recne,
Komendi.
Yeah.
Komendi. Elektrik.
Electric, see? Very good. You never you figured that.
Yes, komendija.
Komed, elektrika.
How about this one? Can you tell?
Telefon.
Telephone, how do you know?
Amerika. Kako sam ga riješiti?
Evo
Amerika.
gore ovdje, čitaj.
Amerika.
American.
Ameritek.
Ameritex. American Tex.
Ameritek.
Ameritek ne mogu dobro izgovoriti od uvijek zuba. Amerika Tex.
So how much do you have to pay?
Koliko moraš
Ovo.
platiti gore?
Ja,
To crno.
ne smijem čuda. Ne
Eto,
smijem reći.
ta velika slova. Gore.
Ovo. Ovo je 200.
No.
Još.
Polako,
Greška.
čitaj.
Fatima, don't say no.
15 dolara.
So you think 200?
48. Kako se ovo kaže, jer nije cent neko naj.
Yes.
So you think
Yep.
$250?
Yes, 48 cent.
You think it's $200?
To je tu znam.
Ja. Pa je od 250 dolara i 48 centi.
There you go. Yeah. A big phone bill. Right? On this one. Very good. It is Ameritech,
Yes.
and it is a phone bill. You are very good.
Thank you, thank you.
Aha. Now, let's do a little story. Let me find the story. And we read it together.
Zajedno da
This is the story of Adam. It says, you read with me, okay? Together. Hi.
Hi,
My
name
name
is
is Adam.
is Adam.
I
I
am
4
and I live in
Chicago.
perfect.
Chicago,
is
Illinois, America,
You know.
United,
You know. Right.
Text, Chicago.
Yeah. I like Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
perfect.
McDonald's and bananas.
Yes. I love the Lion King. It's a movie. I like the Lion King and my
mom.
Mom is mama.
Yeah, mama.
You know,
Mutter,
I
Mutter.
love Mutter. Yes. Meine Mutti. Oh,
Oh,
and
and
I also like ice
cream
cream
and
cookies
and
and sometimes milk. Mhm.
that's
That's all.
yeah.
Thank
You and
good
goodbye. Čutam polomeno malo kad smo mi čitali.
The little boy's name is his name Adam.
Adam.
How old is
How
Adam?
old? 4
4 years old. And he lives, where does he live?
Chicago.
Where is Chicago? Chicago is
Illinois.
in Illinois. Right? And Illinois is in
Illinois.
Illinois
A
is
Illinois pa, Chicago, vam, država.
Pa
Illinois.
cijela ova kako se zove.
Pa Illinois, Chicago.
Ja, koja je ovo
Chicago,
država gdje smo mi
Illinois.
sad?
Čekaj, zaboravila
the
sam.
country is
Piše to.
Gdje piše, onda vidim. Amerika.
right. See how easy? Yes. he likes, what does he like?
Like milk.
Right.
Cool.
What does
Sound
Adam
good.
like
A
in
šta
the story?
volim? Adama volim.
Šta on voli?
A šta Adam voli? Milk, čokolada, ice cream,
Ice cream.
milk, šta ono još ti čekaj? Čekaj, onaj, cookies.
Cookies, right.
Cookies.
Right.
Šta voli da pije?
Banane, Coca-Cola.
A lot of things.
Alles.
Yeah, all those things. He likes Coca-Cola and
Alles.
McDonald's and ice cream and
Yes,
cookies, and that's very much
Alles.
good. What do you like?
Yeah.
What do you like to eat?
Alles. Sve.
Everything. Yeah?
Everything.
Čekaj, onaj,
Ja ti je što voliš.
kad ja zaboravim, brate, ja to sve znam, kako se mi se zove. Meat.
Ja,
See?
Meat.
Whatever.
Šta još voliš?
Gee, watermelon. Nema njega.
I'm sorry, we have no watermelon. What do we have? You like
Šta
to
voliš
eat
tu?
Koren,
corn?
pepper,
Yeah,
pepper,
right.
krastac, ne znam,
Cucumbers.
yes, sve volim. Naranj,
Orange. Oranges.
sve.
Yeah.
Čekaj, nema, ovo baš nema ništa.
Well, that's good.
Tomato, kako se kaže.
Green peppers.
Grapes. Sve
All of
volim.
those things.
Sve.
Very nice.
Sve very nice. Sve dobro.
So, chicken.
Potato,
California.
da,
Bartlett.
peto.
Pear.
Birne.
Genau. Well, see, that is very good.
Very.
Yeah. So you know a lot of English words. You know a lot of vegetables, fruit,
Vegetables,
food.
fruit, taj, kako se kaže meso,
Meat.
meat,
Yeah. Excellent.
sve.
And you know the bill. You know
Yeah.
the phone bill. You know the electricity bill.
Znaš.
And you know you can read the story of Adam. And you know all these things outside.
Alles.
Alles. Perfect. Alles perfect.
Thank you.
Dankeschön. Thank you very much. This was our reading demonstration with Besima from Bosnia. Besima, we now know, has not gone to school a great deal, and so she would be the perfect example for somebody that we want to assess with a reading demonstration to see how much reading text she recognizes and how she can negotiate text. She's the kind of person where if we give her a standardized reading test, it will look like she is not able to do anything. Students like her usually have a very difficult time dealing with multiple choice options or even reading the direction on a standardized test. So giving them the opportunity to demonstrate what they can do with real materials that they've seen in their daily lives allows us to see what a starting point is for instruction and allows us to see how much progress they can make in that. So we used the Coca-Cola can to see whether she would be able to tell what's Coca and Cola. She was able to point towards the right word, but she may have memorized it or may have a strategy for realizing one is Coca, one is Cola, without actually sounding things out. She was able to recognize the M on the McDonald's page, but then had difficulty with reading out USA, and again, an interesting cultural phenomenon. Students like her don't associate USA with the United States, so they're just isolated letters for them, and the Olympic symbols also don't mean anything for them, which means they're not tied in this whole kind of cultural literacy around international sports. We should try soccer with the men one time to see what we get. She was able to negotiate some of the story in terms of Adam, and she was able to remember what he liked. I noticed her eyes, and she did not go back to the text at all to double check where it said Coca-Cola ice cream. So she's developed strategies for essentially memorizing information and then giving it back. She was fairly amazing in terms of being able to tell very, very quickly that this was an energy bill, both by looking it over, and then she didn't start reading on the top the way a literate person does to try to figure it out, but she scanned it and then recognized the ComEd at the bottom as an electricity bill. So again, it's somebody who holistically takes in a configuration but isn't able yet to kind of process print across the board. She recognized the lottery ticket immediately. Again, a strategy where she doesn't have to read and doesn't read, just works on straight recognition. Able to negotiate a grocery flyer by being able to figure out, what the products are and how much they are. Was able to find bananas after a while, but didn't have skimming and scanning. She kind of started reading at the top and then made her way down to banana, same way she did in California. Pears, she didn't zero in on the pears, but she started reading California. Interesting phenomenon in terms of, being able to deal with numbers. She decided that the phone bill, one second. The phone bill, which now has disappeared, actually said the phone bill was $25.49. She insisted on saying it was $250. When I wrote down 200 to see if she was saying 200, she said yes. So it didn't seem to be a language problem. It seemed to be not quite being able to process what the amount of the bill was. So whether she expected it to be 200 or whether the isolation of the price made a difference, that was one of the difficulties she had. She's a perfect student for this kind of ESL civics and literacy program, where we should really be able to see some growth as she learns more English and she learns to kind of do more around reading stories or dealing with functional print, because this is where she can make some progress. She should get a little bit of help in terms of helping with decoding. We got a sense early on she has a very hard time reading Bosnian text if it is in a paragraph and not just the title. She read very haltingly, she had trouble sounding it out, and she made a number of mistakes. So going to something in the native language and asking people to read it aloud is a very good indicator of how much education in the home country people may have had. And if you assess it, you don't even need to know the language or very much about it to get a sense of whether the person can read fluently or not. And she grew up with a little bit of German. At her age, there was still quite a bit of German around in Bosnia. And as a number of Bosnian students, when she gets at a loss, she'll throw in the German word, and kind of any foreign word will do. But that's a strategy that can really help her out. If you want to see more of Besima, watch the next video. And if you want to know what it all means in terms of literacy, watch the third one. Here's your chance to think about Besima and analyze her skills yourself. What do you think the implications are for your tutoring and the assessment you may want to do? So I'm hoping we may have convinced you to try your own demonstration as part of your tutoring. Here's what you do. Select several print items from your Realio toolkit. Choose items that you think your student might encounter in her daily life. Use a range of materials, from fairly transparent, the old McDonald's sign, or a Coca-Cola can, to more complex items, such as maps, schedules, or an ad from a magazine. Ask your students, "What is this?" and "Can you read this?" and point to the print on the item, inviting your student to respond. Slowly move up towards more complex items and keep asking questions. The answers will give you insights not only into what your student can read, but tells you also what the student might be interested in and what she is good at, so you can tell where you might go next in your teaching. You could use your Realia toolkit as an ongoing assessment tool before introducing any new topic. Use the items to assess not only skills, but goals and interests as well. Don't forget to include brochures and flyers about tools and gears for students with a mechanical bent. Accomplishment charts are a terrific way to celebrate what your student can do outside of a tutoring session. Using English in daily life can be a scary prospect for beginners, since there is always a chance that you may not be understood or won't understand what others say. So it's best to practice in a safe environment, visiting a class or saying hello to other people in the program. ESL students often lack the confidence to use English outside of the classroom, and they may need a little nudge. Beginners may also need specific ideas on what they could say to whom and when, so risks are minimized. So offer practice to build confidence. Do lots of role plays and introduce your student to friendly people you know. Custodians are often delighted by a friendly hello from a student. Next, you'll see a couple of accomplishment charts that you can set up to capture what your student can do. I think both of you will like it. Pause the video and consider these ideas for celebrating accomplishments. Can you visualize the steps? Which ideas may you want to try? There are different types of accomplishment charts. Some are open-ended and capture spontaneous interactions. Here you see examples of what a student might report. Go ahead and pause the slide to think about those ideas and think about what your students might do outside of your session. Pause to consider the second slide. This is an example of a goal-oriented accomplishment chart. This might be for a student who wants to become more involved in his child's school. This is how you set up a chart like this. First, discuss goals for using English with your student. You and your student map out specific English communication tasks to accomplish and set a goal date. You find out how things are going on a regular basis, offer encouragement, and then check off when a specific task was completed. Be sure to celebrate success after each task. What other ideas do you have for knowing what students know? Here's the thought. Try stories. You know that it's often painful to try to have a conversation with a student who is new to English. An object or a picture can be a good starting point, as you saw with Basima. But you can also use a simple story that you read aloud with a student. Be sure to read the story together so you can tell right away if your student cannot read and write in English. If you suspect that the student cannot read and write in any language, check out Module 4 on teaching students new to literacy. After you read the story aloud together, you can ask WH questions. Who is that person? Where is he from? Why did he come to the United States? What does he want? The answers will provide insights in how much your student understands, how well she can read. But it can also give you some ideas on where to go next, making your teaching a little bit more complicated or making it a bit easier, depending on what you found out. After you read the story together, do some vocabulary work and then encourage your student to write his own story. Capture it in print and reread it many times. Now that you've heard about all of these ideas, what is your level of confidence that you can use some of these assessments with the students you tutor? We're hoping that you get a chance to talk with others in your program and work together to develop some alternative assessments. But first, let's have you take a post-assessment. So here is your post-test. I hope you do well. Here's a quick summary. But also remember one of the greatest benefits of alternative assessments. They make learning visible, and so they motivate your students to keep going. You can find lots of information on testing and assessment. Too much, actually. But not all that much is written about ESL assessments for adults. One of the best resources that you can go to is the Center for Applied Linguistics. They have a whole set of documents that deal just with the issue we've been talking about: alternative assessments and standardized tests for adult English language learners.